What's going on, man? Hey, so what did you end up settling on for today?
With what?
Plays, all that.
Oh, I have no idea. I'm just looking now.
Oh,
I
okay.
just I
Well,
just
I'll,
updated.
I'll,
I just
I'll
I
just
just
go
up,
into what I'm doing then.
I just updated the sheets. I'm going to be running some builds. I'll talk myself through it. If I'm looking to see what I think is the best plays before I even look, and then you can tell me what you end up doing. Is I actually am still on the pairing of Cole and Crawford. Um, as that's what I would do without like even building. And then as far as let's talk about DraftKings, obviously. Then as far as stacks go, yeah, Arizona dropped a little bit, but yeah, so it looks as though the top is going to be either Cincy or Cleveland, but they're both going to be pretty owned. So I'm just looking down: Arizona, St. Louis, Dodgers. Oh yeah, I might actually have to play that actually. And then the other thing I'd look at is Cleveland, Arizona. Yeah, so Cleveland, Arizona, Dodgers. Those would be the first three I would look at. So I'm going to build a little bit now and then kind of talk through it. So what are you thinking?
I think Cutter Crawford is the kind of play people make because they look at projections and they look at advanced statistics instead of looking at actual statistics. That's my personal take. I don't understand how a guy who's thrown more than 5 innings one time this season is a guy who's viable. I don't understand how a guy who hasn't thrown more than 80 pitches in a game and he's thrown exactly 81 time in his last 6 starts. And he walks everybody. It's a good matchup, but I just don't understand the savings. I just feel like I'd rather play 2-7K random names.
Well, yeah. Well, can I interest you in a different thing then? Okay, so
That's my take. It could be the Cutter Crawford, the one game he has all night all year.
If I don't want to do that, like I said, if I don't want to spend my 16-4 that way, right? That's 10-9 plus 5-4. How about something like I talked about earlier, like a Cease Verlander or something like that, like the 2-7.
Yeah, that was my original build, but I am worried about Cease enough in this matchup to where I ended up coming off of it. But I do have Cease, like I still have him like 20%.
How about a Savale?
I just would so much rather play the other guys around him, and I don't really like them that much either. I really way prefer Verlander. I like Kirby. Verlander, Kirby are my highest owned on DraftKings. Garrett Cole a little bit behind them with Valdez and Stroman there too. Jordan Montgomery I would rather play than those guys. I've only got him like 8%, but I just think those plays are a little bit better than the
Cutter Crawfords.
But again, like there was some hype around this guy. It is a bad team that he's facing. You do have wind blowing and it's like 90 degrees, which isn't ideal.
No.
But it is not the best lineup that he's facing, and there's plenty of strikeouts in there. It's just hard for me to trust a guy to get far enough into the game now. But even if he gets you like 10 or 12, you're probably still okay as long as you get what you want out of the other side, out of Cole. It's just for me, I would just rather do that like you said, the C's. I would much rather do the C's Verlander thing just to play for upside. And I would
you like Kershaw better than Cole?
No, in the end, I ended up with more Cole than I did Kershaw. It's just there's just enough for Cole where with Seattle, I think it makes enough sense to play him. But I think it's close. Like I think that Kershaw, like the problem is, well, the thing I'm struggling with the Cole thing, which is why he isn't in my really big buy-ins on draft, because I like him better on FanDuel, I guess, is more where I like Cole buy-in over there. But the strikeouts have not been ideal. Like, and you're paying a lot for him, obviously. I actually, talked myself into getting to 10% of Evaldi just because I was like, I don't just want to play Cole and Kershaw at the top level. And then I got more Evaldi and Valdez than I initially thought I was going to. But I personally am on that Kirby, Verlander, Montgomery, if I was in that range, even Stroman. Stroman is like, it's weird because like if Stroman got 20 fantasy points, that's probably okay tonight unless a couple other guys go nuts. And I just think he's getting 20 here most of the time. Like he's been basically dominant all year long. The problem is he just doesn't get the strikeouts for the upside enough. So it's a tough one pitching wise. I mean, I can see arguments every which way. And by the way, maybe that speaks to the Crawford thing. But if I was playing Crawford, I probably would be doing like a double spend down with like Crawford and Oviedo or something like that. Like, just because I think that then you just go max, go for the maximum of the bats rather than trying to head. Because if Crawford's bad, you're dead anyway. Like, you know what I mean? You're not going to.
Well, you know what? But then okay. So now as we transition to the hitting, that's usually the thing, right? So if you're going to play like a cheapo, pitcher, the question is, what do you get for that? You know what I mean? Like, I mean, obviously Cutter's not going to score as many as some of these other guys, right? So what do you get for that? So what do you think? What are you thinking of the hitters?
Dodgers, I have as my number one. I understand that, like, look, it's baseball. It's one day, but the Dodgers I have as the number one upside team. It's also one of the only stadiums with like good above average hitting conditions for the stadium. Even the ones where it's like 80 degrees, they've all got like 12, 14 mile an hour winds blowing. And the only other one is the White Sox. And you could argue the Giants, but everybody else has like every stadium that's open has like worse hitting conditions than they should this time of year. Just that everybody's got the wind blowing in basically to some extent.
What do you think of Colorado tonight?
I think both Colorado and Cincinnati are fine. I don't think that the gap is maybe as big as Cincinnati's going to be so much more popular. And I'm not sure that's entirely correct. I do have a Cincinnati stack on FanDuel because I don't mind the 4-man. The problem with the 5-man stack is like, when does Jake Fraley turn into what's his name? Nick Senzel. Like, when does TJ Friedel get removed again for Senzel? I don't know which one they're going to use. So I just don't know, I think that there's some, and also I think that, like, again, you have 11 mile an hour winds blowing in from left. So if I was going to be playing that, I would rather play the lefties than the righties, but you also run the risk of the lefties being platooned out. Yeah. And I also think Milwaukee, I don't like Milwaukee's full stack, but I do like a 3 or 4-man. And I think the 4-man on FanDuel is really, really easy to build because they're so cheap. But yeah, the one thing I can promise for my big buy-in, I will be playing the Dodgers for the millionaire one, and I am using a one-off because I thought you might pull out of the millionaire maker thing. So I did play the Gavin Sheets one-off against Eovaldi just to have a little Sheets action in there.
Sounds good to me.
He's batting 5th. He's 2K flat on DraftKings. He hits fastballs well, and that's what Eovaldi's going to throw. The winds are blowing out 11 miles an hour to right field, so it sets up well for the lefty. It also sets up well for him that Eovaldi tends to work deep into games, so I really like that one-off play. He's also going to be like 4% owned, and he's 2K.
FanDuel, I like Cole the best as far as pitching goes.
Mm-hmm.
Me and everybody else, I guess. And as far as hitting, see if there's any real difference over there. Cincy, Arizona, Cleveland, St. Louis, Dodgers. Hold on.
Does Milwaukee show up at all for you?
Yes. Yeah, good call. Yeah, Milwaukee on FanDuel.
Yeah. And even if you don't stack them, the pieces, just like Tatella's at 27. Yelich has been hot. You have Urias, who's a better hitter than he's been hitting. I mean, he got a late start this year, so he's been terrible so far, but he's 2,400. Brian Anderson is reasonable to round out a stack if you did want to make one. The problem is Jesse Winker has become the worst hitter in baseball. Like, statistically, it's not even an exaggeration. He's actually been the worst hitter in baseball. And one of the worst fantasy players. He doesn't steal bases anymore, and he is yet to hit a home run this year, and he's hitting 190.
It's like they said about our basketball team. We may be small, but we're slow.
Favorite stacks for me, I have the Dodgers. I do still like the Oakland mini stack. I like the little 2 or 3-man from Oakland. You play I prefer the righties just because there's some wind blowing in from right field. So I'd rather the home run upside to the left. But Ruiz, I just think is an awesome. I feel like this guy should be a cash game play every day. Like, he just steals a base every day. Ruiz, Jace Peterson is a little too cheap to just totally ignore if you're going to play a mini stack. But I prefer Rooker over Seth Brown and Noda, and that's as far as I would go. I might throw a Laureano into one, but mostly it's not a full stack. It's really the Dodgers. I I got to some Arizona in the end of the full 5-mans. I got to some St. Louis in the end, which I didn't plan to do. And I got less Cleveland than I initially had just because of the ownership. And again, you have a bunch of lefties where you're going to have the wind blowing in from right field. So if we're looking for the home run upside for a team that already doesn't have a ton of power, kind of hard to get your full stacked value if you're going to make a 5-man if you don't hit a couple of home runs. And they're going to have a hard time doing that. So it's really just it's the Dodgers, Arizona, St. Louis, and Cleveland, and the Dodgers I have ahead, and Cincinnati. But the Dodgers I have ahead of the other ones. But honestly, this is a day where I think you could make a case for a lot of stacks, and I think you could make there should be no clear favorite stack. So the fact that some of these teams are a little more owned is why I try to stay off of them. And I'm just taking a quick look at the updated projections here.
Do we have a lineup for the Dodgers yet, or no?
It just came out. I haven't adjusted to it yet, but I'm gonna have to because it's in so many of my lineups. The Dodgers lineup is Betts, Freeman, Will Smith, JD Martinez, Vargas, DeLuca, Outman, Rojas, Bush. I'm not sure that's right, by the way.
So DeLuca is the one. Would I have him in? Maybe.
DeLuca is the 2K. Who, if they bring in a lefty, if they bring in a righty, will be taken out of the game without question, pretty much. It's possible he stays in there a little longer because Outman's playing against the lefty. You don't need to get creative with the Dodger stack, but if you wanted to, Outman and Michael Bush down at the bottom of the order, I think, are kind of interesting for a 5-man.
Let me think of what I want to do on FanDuel. I'm going to build that one because you know what I kind of like over there, if it fits, is the is to game stack that Arizona game.
Right. I think Chris Taylor. Everybody thought Chris Taylor would be in the lineup. He was going to be a popular Dodger, and I have to actually get him out. He's in 16% of my lineup, so that I have to figure out. But I kind of do like that Outman down at the bottom there. I think that's kind of a cool play.
So let's see what these Milwaukee guys look like over here. So you're saying that, yeah, so Tellez is 2,700. And then second base will play the Arizona guy, Marte. Third, well, hold on. The next best guy I have is, let's see. Well, I probably want to play Adames, right? 2,900 for Adames. It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's a really good price.
It's pretty good. Yelich is a little more expensive.
Right.
You always have to play, if you're going to play Arizona, I presume you always have to play Carroll.
Always to play.
He's expensive.
Yeah, he's just so much better than everybody else. It's hard.
Yeah.
Hard not to play him a little bit.
Yeah, these guys are a little expensive. So Walker is 3,500. Perdomo, he's only 2,900. Yeah, I can't get a good third baseman out of that game, though. I would have to play either Brian Anderson or Evan Longoria.
Yeah, and they're both fine. It's just I'm not thrilled about either of those ones either. So I kind of agree with you that I wouldn't try to do that. You want to hear something crazy? This can't be correct. I read this stat and I thought, can this be correct? I know Josh Donaldson's been hurt a lot this year, but right now, is that right? It says that Ronald Acuna has hit more home runs than Josh Donaldson has hits. That can't be right. I mean, more grand slams than Josh Donaldson has hits.
What? Maybe he just doesn't have a lot of hits.
Yeah, he doesn't have a lot, but that's pretty amazing. I mean, Acuna's been on this insane tear for people who haven't been watching. It's really incredible, actually.
Well, if we played Carroll, who do you like more on FanDuel between Cole and Kershaw?
I think Cole's a little bit of a better play, but it's close. Actually, I do. I think it's close. I just think it's really close, and I think Cole is going to be much more popular, but I think that Kershaw has plenty of upside. So I have no problem going Kershaw. I just personally have Cole a little bit ahead, which is kind of weird because I wasn't planning on doing that.
Who's a good third baseman on FanDuel who's cheap?
I don't mind Brian Anderson on FanDuel and Urias. That's what I've mostly got for the cheapies. Marte.
Arizona. Milwaukee. Oh, Brian Anderson's on Milwaukee. Okay.
That's Luka, St. Louis. Yeah. One play I really like, by the way, it's another like a. I don't know why. I guess that I just didn't see many people on it early, but I love the another one-off play is I really like Jordan Walker tonight, and he's just too cheap. They moved him up to what is he at the 5th hole tonight? Yeah, against Mackenzie Gore. And whether you're playing the stack or not for St. Louis, I think that's a really good play.
Tellez, Marte. Third base. Is there a cheapo at 2,200 on FanDuel anywhere that's worth playing?
At 22?
Yeah. Besides Jesse Winker, obviously.
At third base on FanDuel?
In general, anywhere. Yeah, okay, it's not going to work. Cole, we play Cole instead of Kershaw. You save a little dough. Not really. It's 100, right?
Yeah.
So maybe Arizona is really not the idea over there. So let me see. So Cincinnati. I like the Arizona ownership, though. It's not that bad over on FanDuel, it looks like.
Yeah, the Arizona was not one of the teams that it's interesting because I actually think that you kind of turned me on to them, and it was interesting as I did more like looking and then listening to stuff throughout the day. It was kind of surprising to me that more people weren't playing them.
What is Colin Ray lefty or righty?
Righty.
Sheetbot said true DFS MLB
there
projections
it
have
There
been
they
updated.
are.
Be available on SaberSim in a few minutes.
Sure they are.
All right, there we go. Eric's going crazy again in the chat. I was just listening to another one of the RG shows where he dominated the chat in that one as well.
Nice.
So what's up? We'll say what's up to Eric. He does it all the time. This is how we got to. This has been going on since I started playing DFS. It's just Eric with every crazy idea possible.
Love it.
All right, thoughts on Eovaldi? I think Eovaldi's a good tournament play. I am less on him. I know the field's going to be low on him. I just don't. Again, I still think the sweet spot on DraftKings for me is going to be in the 7 to 9K range. But I do think that he's viable as a spend up. I do have a Cole lineup with him, a couple of them. I think he's viable, and it's a good match. It's such a good matchup. It's weird. It's just the price has got us sort of thrown off a little bit, but he's been good. It's the White Sox who have been awful. And as long as Gavin Sheets doesn't hit a couple home runs off of him tonight, he's probably a pretty good play. Would I play Verlander in cash? I would not play cash. I don't play cash, but I probably would not play Verlander in cash. I would probably double spend up at pitching if I was playing cash. All right.
I'm liking the Milwaukee thing on FanDuel.
Yeah, it works out pretty nicely.
But you know what the thing is? It's not really working out for me because I can't. I needed a second team here.
Yeah, and I'll just say that Eric, to go with your thing, a big slate. It's just a terrible play to play Seattle. Like I just would tell you right now, if you 5-man stack Seattle, it's just a terrible play. I mean, there's so many reasons why, and it's not just because they're facing Garrett Cole and arguably the best bullpen in baseball. It's also how are they going to be the highest scoring of all the teams? Like, how is their team going to be the most? And they don't have any. It's not real BVP. There's nothing significant enough to get in there. Everyone is not on Arizona and the Brewers. Don't listen to that. That's not true from him. No, I'm not on Cutter. I think I went through a thing about why Cutter I think is a bad play. Okay. Have we talked about the Cardinals? No, yeah, the Cardinals have been talking about. The Cardinals will be the I think, let me just double check the updated ownerships before I speak out of turn. I think the Cardinals are going to be one of the more popular teams, but that's going to be 7% averaged out. You know what I mean? It's not high enough. You know what I mean for these slates. So I don't, and then let's see what Arizona's showing up as. Got Arizona with showing up again, probably around 7%. These are not too high for these slates, so it's absolutely not true. And I've got Milwaukee at like 3% as an owned stack. No, I don't think there's anything wrong with fading the Reds. Like, I like the Reds, but I'm fine fading them. Also, you have all the lefties for the Reds that are going into that have the wind against them, right? Let me just double check my Reds notes. No, it's the righties for the Reds that you would be afraid of a little bit, just because there's 11-mile winds blowing in. But the Reds as being mega chalky is just not when I want to play them. And they are probably behind Cleveland, the highest owned team from what I'm seeing. Yeah.
On DraftKings?
Yeah. No, everybody likes Oakland. I think Oakland is totally legitimate as a. I think it's more of a mini stack than a full stack, but I'm fine with Oakland. I like the righties better than I like the lefties. I'll tell you that.
Like any Cubs somehow?
No.
No.
I mean, it's okay. It's another one. Like all of these things. Another one with the winds blowing in from left field, huge downgrade for state. Well, it's a weird one for the Cubs. Kind of an upgrade for the stadiums if the wind's blowing in, but in Wrigley. But I don't know. I do. The Cubs lineup is solid. Maybe the Cubs aren't the worst idea sheets. I might want to take that one back. I think the Cubs are okay. Everybody has mentioned Oakland on everything I've seen, but that doesn't mean they're going to play them a ton. It just means that they're good. They're what they always are. They have value plays. That's what they are. They've got probably 5 guys who will be 5% owned, or 4 guys who will be 5% owned. And I think that's about right.
Edmund Contreras. Oh, that's the other Contreras, right? For St. Louis.
So Eric's going to have to explain that to me. Why is Nolan Jones in a smash spot? Because he's facing a righty. So in that case, is Nolan Jones always in a smash spot?
It's pretty funny.
I really want to understand what the smash spot is about. It's hard to do a sample for a guy who's got 60 career at bats. Okay, this is really what I don't want to do. So let's start talking sheets, because I can't answer. We've gone through. We just got questions on every single stack from Eric. And I just think, like, at some point it actually just is worse for you to think this way. Like, you can't try to think, okay, I'm going to try to play every single stack and then go through 25 stacks and decide between them. You're trying to find, like, narrow it down and then narrow it down more and then play heaviest with 3 stacks. But like, yeah, I think the Rockies are in play. They're fine. I don't like playing the Rockies in general. I think if there was a spot, you got a little Moustakas revenge, which is not a real thing in baseball. It's a joke, but yeah, Moustakas, Nolan Jones, Diaz.
You like Profar?
Fine. It's fine. I'd like it if he stole bases, and he doesn't anymore. And he doesn't have power really either. So any value, second base, third base on DK? Good question. I think Jace Peterson is the first place you look to for value. Because of the ultimately low, 2,300 price tag. So Jace Peterson, Evan Longoria, Royce Lewis would be the main ones. I guess Michael Busch, if you're making a Dodger stack. Those would be the main ones.
You don't mind Longoria, even righty?
I like it better because it's the one of the few times we think he's going to stay in the game.
Okay.
So I don't like Longoria, so for what it's worth, but he's 2,700. Kirby hometown narrative. I like Kirby too. Kirby's in my main lineup right now. I'm in Verlander's in my main lineup, so that's the best way to answer that one. God, I really like this Perdomo though on Arizona. I like this Arizona lineup so much better when they let this guy bat near the top of it.
Yeah.
Arizona's good, man. This is not a fluke. We talked about it a little bit earlier this year. They've got some real talent. They have, I believe, everybody 1 through 7 in their order has an ISO above 195 or 200. I can't remember which on everybody 1 through 7 in their order, which is pretty solid.
Who's that cheapo that I said on Milwaukee? The outfielder. Not Weimer.
Weimer's batting 9th today,
No, I
unfortunately.
know it is. So if I wanted to play Milwaukee, it would be Tellez, Adames. I guess,
the problem is Winker because he's so cheap.
Winker, that's what I meant. Okay.
But he's been so horrible. Like I might, if I accidentally, I apologize for anybody who staked me on anything. If I accidentally had Jesse Winker as a one-off, if I did, it would be like in a $4 tournament or something. So it probably wouldn't be anything. But I don't know how you're supposed to play a guy who, like, I mean, you look at the numbers and like, it's really hard. But if you're playing part of a 4-man stack, it's totally fine at 2,200. No problem, Eric. You know I love to bust your chops. You know that's what we do, and I know that you were doing that with the guys in RG too. But always happy to have you in here. It just was too many different games at once from one person. I would love to just answer anything else that comes up.
Who's another Arizona guy you could play? Play Gurriel, right? You could play Gurriel.
Yeah, Gurriel's actually had a really good year against righties. Pretty good year overall, actually. So I'm going to go out and I'll do my little, I've got my home run guys for the day. Freddie Freeman is going to hit a home run today.
Freddie Freeman?
Yes.
Excellent.
Strong feeling on him. I think Gavin Sheets is my sneaky one. You can get probably 12-1 or something on it, but I like the Gavin Sheets idea. Probably maybe not 12, maybe like 9.5 or 10-1. Let's see. Who was the other one I wrote down, but I have to double check my thing. Unfortunately, my other one is Corey Seager. By the way, maybe those hits being taken away was a real thing, Sheets. Have you seen what Seager's hitting this year? It's pretty nuts.
He's crazy. He's just nuts.
Yeah. Joey Gallo is totally fine to me. Everybody on Minnesota is completely fine. Maybe instead of playing Cutter Crawford, we should just play the Minnesota guys. The only problem with a guy like Gallo is, again, although he hits it so far, it doesn't necessarily matter. But 12 mile, once it gets above 10 and it's blowing in directly from the position of where they'd be hitting the home runs, most likely, it's always takes a little bit of the excitement away for me.
Okay, so if we're gonna play Dodgers, I'm gonna start with Vargas, right? Wait.
Yeah.
Vargas, we like. I get the two confused. Like the Vargas is the one with the power. DeLuca's only going to be in for one at bat, probably. Not one at bat.
No. I would imagine at least two, and they may not bring a righty in. They may bring a lefty in. Afterwards, the Dodgers have a good mix of lefties and righties. So
and you let these prices don't bother you, like Freeman and Betts and
no, that's why they're not going to be 20% owned. Betts will be owned because of shortstop eligibility. This is a big question from Forrest, though. Sorry, guys.
Will Smith 5,700. That's not.
No, I mean it's expensive. That's the whole point of why you play them. Like part of why you play them is that otherwise, if they were 4K, they'd all be 25% owned. So read on the Eovaldi projection. Why is it lower than Kershaw and Cole? The question that I never thought I'd have to answer. Legitimately, in the whole time I've ever played DFS, I've never would have thought that I'd be saying, why is Garrett Cole? Why is Eovaldi projecting worse than Garrett Cole and Kershaw?
Yeah, that's quite a mystery.
But it's simple as this: he's just nowhere near as good a pitcher as either of these guys are, and yet his projection is within 3 points of theirs. So it's not like there's a big gap between his projection and theirs.
What position is
He's
Vargas?
1 point off of Kershaw's.
Vargas is second base. Right.
Yeah.
That's all he plays is second. Okay, for second base. So there's Cease. I do like the Cease.
Yeah, high 16s is the projection for him. The problem is, I mean, Kershaw's, well, I have Evaldi predicted at 17.2 and Kershaw at 18.9 and Cole at 21.
I mean, Aaron Savali.
This is another troll question. I'm not even going to answer this one last one.
15, 12, 15. I don't know. Savali can, someone else can play Savali, I think. He's Kirby. Can Kirby strike people out?
Well, that's
I mean, he did it last time.
the thing about that we say about him is that's the one thing you got to worry about is the strikeouts. Fortunately, the Yankees will help you out a little bit, but his strikeouts aren't even like that bad. My fear more is that he just dominated this team the other day or whatever, like a couple weeks ago, and that's not even a fear really. It's just like something like, okay, well, they got a chance to see him. If they hadn't seen him this year, that I would have probably liked him even better than I do. But I do really like him.
All right, so let's do it another way. So on DraftKings, who's a cheap, like, let's say who's just a good value player? So your Bell is 2,600, but I don't need a first baseman. You get Bo Naylor for Cleveland is 2,500 as a cheap catcher.
Yep.
I
mean,
who else in Cleveland looks good? Is you like Will Brennan at 2,300? I mean,
he's in one of my Cleveland builds, but not a whole lot to say about him.
Bo Naylor hitting ninth. It's like a little bit better for my catcher, I think, than hitting ninth.
To answer the Michael Busch questions, Busch was a high level prospect. I believe he was the last pick or second to last pick in the first round. He went to the UNC. Hasn't really had the major league chances yet. And they also had to cancel the minor league season in 2020 in his first year when he would have been. So he's sort of like a year behind. That's, but he's a guy who should at 2,400 playing for the Dodgers, basically anybody can be in play, but he actually has some potential talent. He just hasn't really showed it even quite in the minor leagues yet, except for he did have a really good run. I believe it was the end of 21. Yeah.
You like JD Martinez at 5,200?
Yeah, I would start with Freeman Betts. That's the problem. Is like it's pretty easy to know I would gonna play. Like I'd start with JD would be it'd be Freeman, Betts, and JD and Will Smith are all like 1As, 1As and 1Bs, but I don't know if anybody's a B. The thing about JD, why you can fade him, is that if he doesn't hit a home run, you're probably not getting a ton out of him. You know what I mean? But he's also against the lefty, probably the next most likely behind Freeman to hit a home run. You could say Betts. Freeman crushes lefties and has done it. I think he definitely has better numbers against lefties home runs per at bat wise this year. But he has so many ways he can get you there too.
Who's a good catcher today? I keep coming back to that question.
The easiest catcher is to play the Pittsburgh guy because he's 2K and he's batting fifth and he's actually like a guy.
And he's actually not the worst in the world.
Well, he's got some pedigree or whatever.
The H. Davis, you mean?
I'm looking at who I got. I have Will Smith 30%. So that shows you how many Dodgers I have. Davis, Bo Naylor, Jonah Heim. Those are my catchers pretty much.
Yeah. Can Bo Naylor do anything?
Oh, and Contreras. Sorry. Yeah, Bo Naylor, absolutely. But he's batting ninth. I mean, that's just the problem. He's young. He's like a real young guy.
Is there a really, really good? No, there's not. I was gonna say, is there a really good $4,900 outfielder? Not that great.
That was interesting. You know, I was going through the different outfield pricing, and there was so little that I felt like I needed to have in the outfield. I realized that's what happens when the Braves don't play, because I just automatically try to play Acuna in my biggest buy-in, no matter what. Anyway, I just thought there wasn't as many guys I felt like I needed to have. You know, that's pretty funny, Forrest. All right, who else do we have here? I have to go in just a couple minutes though to get done with my build. I still have Dodgers and Chris Taylor and some of my Dodger lineups, which has got to change, obviously.
Boy, oh boy! If I liked Kershaw as much as Cole, I have a really, really good lineup.
Maybe take a shot. Let me just take a quick look at Cole. Something that I wanted to see about Cole. I am curious because I didn't notice anything that stood out about this BVP thing. Eric's is good BVP. They've got a 35% strikeout rate. Oh, sorry, only 30% strikeout rate. They're hitting 200 off of them, and a 2.5% walk rate. Yeah, wow. That would definitely be the worst team to stack.
Okay, so here's a question. I think I probably already know the answer. But who do you like more between? I'll give you 3 pitchers. How about that? Lively, Verlander, or Montgomery?
Lively, Verlander, or Montgomery? Another question that you never think you're going to get asked in your life.
Right.
Yeah, so that's the answer for me. It's Verlander. Montgomery would be number 2. Lively didn't make my builds.
I threw that in there just because I knew that wasn't even actually in play. I was really just trying to ask you Montgomery and Verlander.
It's in play, man. It's in play.
Montgomery, Verlander. Montgomery definitely has the better matchup. Verlander is definitely the better pitcher. Montgomery, and again, Washington doesn't exactly strike out.
Yeah, more against lefties than they do against righties, for what it's worth. Of course. That's pretty funny.
All right, I think I got this. Let me see. Good. Well, Verlander, 50 years old in Houston. What could go wrong, right?
Hey, I'm not as afraid about Houston as most people are, but I also understand that there is definitely some risk. I'm still willing to take the risk at that price.
Okay, so I really think you'll enjoy my big buy.
Oh, nice, fun.
I think.
Nice.
We'll see.
You've seen this. There's a lot of Cole. By the way, there is a lot about this Cole cheating thing. There's a lot going on about this. So if you want to find a reason to maybe like Kershaw as much, that would be your thing. Is that since they get rid of the sticky stuff, he just doesn't do the same stuff.
No, you know how like when I'm between, I can't decide between 2 guys. You say like sometimes play both of them. Well, there's also the corollary, just play neither of them. It's just better that way. Both of them or neither of them. If you can't decide between 2 guys, either play both of them or neither of them. That's Okay, so I'm good with the big buy-in, and I'm good with the MME. But what I want to do is do something with my mid-rangers.
Okay, I'm going to get out of here and finish my builds.
Okay.
Good luck, Sheets. Good luck, everybody. And I wanted to touch one thing. I like what Big Ticket said here at the end. I think San Francisco, San Diego is the most overlooked, and I actually think that's a good spot to try to attack. I didn't get to it today, but I think that would be a really, really good game to go after if you want to, because it is a better spot, and people just write off games in San Francisco. So I have no problem if you want to go ahead and play that game.
That's interesting. I didn't even think about that one.
I like that.
So this is my MME. Yeah, I got a bunch of this Colorado, Arizona, St. Louis. Not in my big buying, but in the MME.
Yeah. All right. Well, good luck to everybody out there, and I'm gonna get out of here. Sheets, good luck, man. And I'm gonna leave it on.
That's okay. You can cut it off.
Okay. All right. Good luck, guys. I'll see you guys in the Discord.